Welcome to the Football Guys Dynasty Show, and this is a very special show we're going to do for you guys every week going forward. We're doing trades, guys. Like I said, if you watched earlier this week, you guys want buy sells and trades. You want us to help you win. This is how you do it in Dynasty by being an active trader. So I pulled some tweets from Twitter. Pulled some tweets from Twitter. And going forward, guys, just comment all of your trades. So if you like this if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment whatever trade that you had. If you want to roast some of the other people in their trades, do it because we're mean in Dynasty. Not really. We want you to be nice. Don't do that. We're not about that in football, guys. Sorry. Sorry, Joe. But with me, as always, is Jeff Bell and Alfredo Brown, and we're just going to jump right into it, starting with Romeo Doubs. This is when I messaged Jeff. I was like, I really hope to see some Romeo Doubs trades because I'm trying to buy him. So what's the market right now? And I'm incredibly bullish. In our first trade, only one that I got, McConkey and DeAndre Swift for Romeo Doubs and a 26 second. Alfredo, where are you at on this trade?
I respectfully want to say this is nuts. Like I would take the Rome side every single time, 15 times out of 10. Like this is absolutely nuts. Like I don't know that DeAndre Swift has much more left in the NFL after the next couple of years. Maybe not in the NFL, but like relevancy for fantasy. I think this is probably it. This stop here in Chicago. I don't know that I want him as my RB2. McConkey, good player. He's not Romeo Doubs. He's had health issues in college. Romeo Doubs, like this is you're looking at having a Larry Fitzgerald type of player on your team or a Davante Adams who I comped him to in the offseason. On top of that, you're going to get a second as well. Like, what are we doing? To me, like it would have been a win for Romeo Doubs over McConkey and Swift anyways, but to add in a second, that's putting cherries on top of your cherries. So yeah, like this Sunday's packed. I'm taking the Romeo Doubs side all day, every day. I'm loving every second that I've been seeing of him on Hard Knocks with Caleb Williams, where like, dude, they're hooking up each other's pads. Like he's looking for Romeo Doubs in the end zone when he's running around. He and Rome, they have that connection. We kind of are already seeing Keenan Allen might not have too much left in the tank. Dave Kluge said this not too long ago, and I think I agree with him. Romeo Doubs is closer to being the wide receiver 1 for the Bears than he is the wide receiver 3 at this point. So I just love Romeo Doubs, and I love this trade.
Yep. Jeff, I think you agree, right? When I saw this trade, I was like, "Oh wow!" And a 26 second. I was like, surely, like, did you ask for that, or was just like, "Well, this will get the deal done"? You know, like, what happened here?
I mean, the pick is on the wrong side, and even then,
Yeah.
it feels light for Odunze. So no, I mean, I've been on this program for the last 2 months. I've been telling you people to go out and buy Odunze, and if you've been watching, Alfredo mentioned the Bears Hard Knocks, but the Giants Hard Knocks was really interesting to kind of get a look behind the camera, and that's where we saw in the draft process. Everybody had Odunze in the NFL circles right there with Malik Neighbors and with Marvin Harrison Jr. And we knew that in fantasy. We knew that too in our scouting, and we still created a fake gap because of what Jaxon Smith-Njigba didn't have a good rookie year. And yeah, no, I said 2 months ago that if Odunze, there's no reason why Odunze can't pop immediately. The connection with Caleb Williams that Alfredo again did a great job pointing out has always been evident. And if that happens, then Romeo Doubs is closer to being a top 5 dynasty wide receiver than he is to being a top 10-ish, or
Yeah.
he's right there.
Yeah, I've been trying to overpay for him now
Yeah, I
because
would
it's just
pay.
yeah, just like get it done, guys. It's like overpay, like go to Keep Trade Cut, build a trade that you lose by like 1,000 points, and like just forget about it. Go send it. If they accept it, come back a month later, and then you're like, wow, I got him so cheap. That's what I think that we're at now. It's like you said, the second's on the other side, and I know the guy who did this. This is Matt Chester. I don't know who he works for now because like he rarely puts out content, but boy does he. This dude, Matt, how do you do this, man? Just like comment, what do you do to these people? Do you point a gun to their head and tell them to accept? Do you blackmail them old school style with magazine cutout letters? Like I have these pictures of you. Like what are you doing to get these done? Because I would like to know your secrets. So guys, like with that being said, arguably I would play Lad McConkey in a first for Odunze right now.
Yeah.
That's not even a
Yeah.
question. I would do that like right now. I would tear down what someone might call a win now to go get a Dunze. That's what I'm saying. Some of these rosters that a lot of people think that I'm win now. I would go send an asset to go get a Dunze plus. You go like if you don't think you're going to definitively win this year and you have Garrett Wilson, go get Rome Odunze plus for Garrett Wilson right now and thank me later. Our next guy that we have on here is a football guy's favorite and another Alfredo favorite. That's why I wanted to pull this. Is he was biggest on him early on is Ray Davis, man. We were getting Ray Davis for like a third round pick in the rookie drafts, and we were telling you here to go get him and everywhere that he was going to be a guy. Then he got the draft capital, and was like, but he's old. The dude can just play, and people like I don't I don't think you guys get that the NFL doesn't care about running backs. All they want is 3 years out of this guy. So Ray Davis for a second, excuse me, Ray Davis for a second. Do you think that that's too much now, knowing what we know? Jeff, you are the Bills guy.
No, I don't think so. So I've kind of been, I've been a little bit quieter on Ray Davis, partly because I've been wanting to grab him in best balls, and I think the thing that people don't realize that at least I have not seen people realize is if James Cook gets hurt, Ray Davis is a top 10 dynasty running back, not dynasty running back, top 10 redraft running back. If James Cook is out of that lineup, there's nobody else. There's nobody else. Ty Johnson, they liked him. He's been hurt. Frank Gore Jr. probably, maybe might make the roster. That's what we're talking about here. And so it's really James Cook and Ray Davis. And yeah, it might be a little bit more of a handcuff situation. I think that when you really roll up the roll of what they tried to do with those backs they had last year, the older backs with Damian Harris, with Latavius Murray, and combine all that into one, you've got a flex option in Ray Davis. I do believe that. But the biggest thing is if Cook's out of the lineup, you've got a league-winning player.
Yeah, and that's like if you look at everything that James Cook lacked, that's what Ray Davis is good at. So, you again, Alfredo, you're the most bullish guy on him. Like Ray Davis for a sec, you think that's a slam dunk, right? At this point.
Yeah, I'm actually so I mean Dynasty home leagues, you got to love them. We're doing our rookie draft now here a week before the season. I'm in the middle of the second round and I traded up. I have pick 205 right now. I'm probably not going to take Ray Davis there, but I'm trying to figure out how I can get back into the second round so I can take Ray Davis with one of those picks because I don't think he's falling to me at the 305. And that's Ray Davis is a guy I'm super bullish on in redraft, but in Dynasty, I'm pretty good with him too. I mean, for all the reasons that Jeff said, and I think what gets lost on people is they kind of think that Ray Davis is going to be the thunder to James Cook's lightning. But moreover, I think that Ray Davis can actually do a lot of the things that James Cook does. He may not wow you as much with long runs or the athletic testing, but he's really good on passing downs. If I remember correctly, he was second in this class in receiving yards. It's something Ray Davis can actually do it all. And I know we kind of overuse that term. He's a 3-down back, but this is a guy who actually did do that. And what I think impressed me the most was that he did it for so many different schools under so many different coaches. I know there's not too much to learn with the running back position, but the fact that he's been able to overcome so much, transition so easily into new programs, and have multifaceted success everywhere he's been, that's a guy that I want to invest in. I like that he's in a good offense, and I like that the Bills have so many openings right now for who's going to catch passes, who's going to be an offensive weapon. James Cook does not have that typical physique or archetype of being a guy who's going to be getting 20 touches per game. He can still be efficient, he can still be good for fantasy, but Ray Davis actually becomes, like Jeff said, one of those guys that you could potentially flex if he's getting into more of a 60-40 or 50-50 role in this Bills offense. So yeah, I would absolutely do a second round pick in 2025 for Ray Davis. I want him on my rosters.
Yeah.
I think the only drafts I'm not getting Ray Davis is when I draft with Alfredo.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's I've traded back in to like a draft to get Ray Davis in the third round. I remember one draft specifically. I had 4 fourth round picks, And I was like, I'll give you all these picks for James Cook. And they're like, really? And I'm like, I don't care about anybody else. It's just like, he's my last guy, you know? But with that being said, guys, if you, like, especially in Dynasty, we have a little bit more flexibility to make these moves. If you need like an RB3 or some depth, Ray Davis is the perfect guy. And you might even be able to get him in a package deal. You might not even have to be as bullish as paying a second up. Just be creative and you can probably get a deal done. The next one is Marshawn Lloyd, which I flip flop on how I feel about him every day because like objectively I like him as a prospect and it's more just about what is he going to be this year for the Packers. The deal for him is Darnold, Locke, and a 25 third for Lloyd and a second. This feels like someone is desperate for a quarterback and they're willing to give you good stuff for some kind of doo-doo stuff here. So, Alfredo, we'll start with you. Which side of this do you want? Like, let's put it this way. Like, obviously, you want Lloyd in a second. Let's just say that. Like, you want Lloyd in a second because he has decent draft capital and
Don't
he's in
tell
a
me what
good
I want.
system. But would you pay that to get Darnold and Locke in a 25 third? Like, would you sell your soul for that?
No, no, because I mean we know that Darnold is not the long term answer there. I mean, you are I think you're paying way too much just to try to be competitive this year. I think that you could probably get it done Darnold for a second. Am I crazy to think that that doesn't get done? If you really, really need a quarterback to go into your super flex and that person's willing to trade him, I think tacking on Lloyd is a bit much. I think that whoever is actually buying Marshawn Lloyd, they're doing everything right now because they're selling Sam Darnold at his peak before anything bad happens in season. They're selling Drew Lock while we are all down on Daniel Jones. And then they're getting Marshawn Lloyd at his lowest because he's about to start the season on IR. And I think that that price is only going to go down for Marshawn Lloyd. So to get Lloyd in a second, I think that's a very savvy move by this person here. I loved Marshawn Lloyd during the pre-draft process. I'm a little disappointed that he ended up on the Packers, and I don't want to see him kind of end up like Kendre Miller, where injuries turn into more injuries, and the Packers are notoriously safe with bringing players back from injuries. So that's the only thing that worries me there. But either way, I still think this is a pretty savvy trade, and I take the Lloyd in second easily. I don't know that you have to give up that much though to go and get Darnold.
Yeah. Jeff, I guess I'm sure you agree with that. So I'll ask you, what are your expectations for Marshawn Lloyd for this year? Because like, do you think that's a little bit too early to sell him for that? Like, because like, there's a big beat on AJ Dillon that he's in the best shape ever. Like, the dude's always been in shape, man. He's like Quadzilla Junior. He's jacked. He's just not good, you know.
I wish that we were recording this show tomorrow because I've got Emmanuel Wilson is way under the radar, and Emmanuel Wilson has been the star of the preseason for the Packers each of the last 2 years. He's the guy that I'm concerned about, not AJ Dillon. I think for Lloyd, I view Lloyd almost as a redshirt this year, to be honest. I mean, I think that you're going to get a lot more. And I know there was talk at the beginning of camp about Josh Jacobs in a committee type role. I think now with where because Lloyd is hurt right now.
Yeah.
So he's injured. AJ Dillon is hurt right now, so he's injured. And so I think you're going to get a lot more bell cow Josh Jacobs than probably what the expectation was a couple weeks ago when, the initial talk and about AJ Dillon and all this was coming out. But yeah, Emmanuel Wilson, I think if you are out there and you have a roster spot, if you're holding Lloyd, I would go add him. But on this trade in general, if you've got a quarterback problem and you're trading for Sam Darnold, now you still have a quarterback problem and just you have Sam Darnold. So
That's such a good way to put it. That is
Yeah,
such a good way to put it.
I'm marking that down to clip, guys. Like, that's good because it's like, I, that's my problem is like Darnold for a second, fine, but giving up Lloyd for Locke and like because that's what it is. You bought Darnold for a second. Do you feel good about selling Marshawn Lloyd for Locke and a 25? Like to be fair, the person who posted this trade, they're on the Lloyd side. You know you won. You were flexing. That's why you posted it. I just want to talk about the other side of this trade here. It's just like you're doing too much, guys. You're doing too much. Someone else who I wanted to talk about, who I've been bullish on, is David Montgomery. we talked about in our last episode about Bijan Robinson. I think it's a problem that's indicative throughout the entire just running back landscape. Is like people are like, well, Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy. Stop saying the guy with running backs. Like, just stop saying that. There is guys. Like like Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy and David Montgomery's a guy, and they like them both, and they're both going to get touches. David Montgomery was like the RB 13 last year, and that I think that's with a finish. That's not even his points per game because he missed a couple of games. And if we love the Lions offense, why wouldn't you want him? The first trade is David Montgomery or is Derek Carr for David Montgomery in a third. Congratulations, you know how to dynasty. Jeff, this is a slam dunk, right? Like, let's just say what it is. Like, we've seen the Spencer Rattler drum beat. Do we think Derek Carr starts the rest of the season?
November 19th. Circle it right now. Tuesday, November 19th. That's going to be the day that if Dennis Allen is still the coach, that's the day he's no longer the coach, and that's the day that Spencer Rattler is going to be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. So if you can get out on Derek Carr, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that's it's this is how you dynasty, guys. Where are you ranking him in redraft? Because that kind of trickles down to dynasty, Alfredo. Like with Derek Carr, for instance. Because like obviously David Montgomery, this is a win. This is someone else flexing, and I'm willing to give you your flowers.
I'm not gonna lie, I really hate Derek Carr in redraft, which is annoying because I like Chris Olave in redraft, and that for me, like that's, I guess they kind of go hand in hand. I've got Derek Carr. I think it's sort of bunched up here, but I've got him around that quarterback 27-28 range with
That's in
Gardner.
redraft. That's terrible.
Yeah, like I've got him below Gardner Minshew. I've got him below Darnold. Um, I like the upside of Minnesota's offense. I think Gardner Minshew showed that he can run an offense last year. I like the upside of Drake May better than him. So yeah, I've got Derek Carr at my quarterback 29 right now because as Jeff said, like I don't think he lasts the season. I think that there are a few teams out there that are just ready to implode at any moment. One of those teams is the New Orleans Saints, and the other one is a team that we haven't talked about yet, but the New York Giants. And I think that a couple of these teams are just ready to explode. And at any given moment, their starting quarterbacks that they have there are going to be gone.
I don't even see Derek Carr like when I draft.
Yeah.
It's like it's just blank. Like it doesn't even pop on my radar that Derek Carr is available.
I have one share of Derek Carr, and I inherited this. I inherited this roster. I've had it for 3 years. I've been trying to move Derek Carr, and the guy literally he has JJ McCarthy, and he loses JJ, and I was like, I'll give you Darnold and Derek Carr for basically anything. And like the dude still said no. And then he went and got Aaron Rodgers. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's like I would have done that too, like and that's to give you real world examples, guys. So like it can be done. And to quote Jeff, don't go buy Derek Carr because you have a quarterback problem, especially in Dynasty. Like if you have a quarterback problem in Derek Carr, and now you don't have a running back, that you could basically call the season a wash, trot Derek Carr out there till you can't anymore, get a high draft pick. Cool. Now I have David Montgomery. I still have a third round pick that's probably going to be a high third round pick because I have Derek Carr, and I can rebuild and still have a running back, or just trade David Montgomery for a good player. I don't know, just not Derek Carr.
Carr had one of his better seasons of his career last year, and we all still hate him. Like that tells you everything that you need to know, where his job is on the line. The team drafted a quarterback relatively early in the NFL draft, and even the head coach is like, he's okay. He's just there.
Yep.
Like that tells you where the ceiling is.
They're ready to start Taysom Hill at any moment. Let's just put it that way.
At the next trade and at linebacker, he'll play both ways.
Yeah. The next trade is, some would think it's balanced. I don't think this is because it was controversial. I posted that Jayden Reed should be a trade a couple weeks ago. People still think I'm crazy. I traded Jayden Reed for David Montgomery and Romeo Doubs. And I want to prove to you guys all the stuff I said about David Montgomery earlier. Now apply this here. Now let's go to Romeo Doubs. I've said on this show that I think Romeo Doubs has the same upside as Jayden Reed. Why isn't this a slam dunk? And I guess this is more about Jayden Reed, guys, this is why you have optionality you shouldn't fall in love with players. And I used to be like this. Like very recently, I used to be like this. Like I scouted Jayden Reed. I love Jayden Reed. He got drafted in the third round. I told everyone you should draft him, and I'm right. I am right. Jayden Reed is an NFL player. All right, guys, but he's always going to be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. So why not go get another wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and then go get a free running back? So with that being said, Alfredo is wait. I know where Jeff is on Jayden Reed. Where are you at with this? Like would you go move him for Montgomery and Dubs, or are you still like there's people that legitimately think that Jayden Reed can lead in wide receiver touchdowns. That is a real stat that is made up, kind of, but real.
So the real but not real wide receiver touchdown stat. Got it. I really loved Jayden Reed coming out of Michigan State, and he was one of those guys that I was saying, man, we're drafting him too low in rookie drafts. I
Mm-hmm.
felt very vindicated when he had himself a very good rookie year. But I think we do this far too often where we romanticize players that we were right on or that they helped us win in their first year. And we romanticize a bit too much. Do I think Jayden Reed can still be a very productive player throughout his career and he's very talented? Yeah, of course. Why not? But when you have another player, his own teammate, Romeo Doubs, who I think the value is pretty adjacent, and then you can just tack on a David Montgomery to that, I think that's a win. I think that right now you're selling Jayden Reed at, I don't want to say his ceiling, but he had a really good year for touchdowns. And if you are the person that believes in touchdown variance and how that can change, then yeah, I think you have to believe that Romeo Doubs and David Montgomery is the better option here over Jayden Reed. And the guy that we haven't even talked about here is the guy that I continue to be bullish on, and that's Christian Watson. Everything right now has been not a question of his talent or the production when he's on the field, but it's can he stay healthy? And if he can stay healthy, I don't know that Jayden Reed is nearly as valuable as he's been in years past. And so I think right now you're kind of getting out at the right time. I wouldn't be going out and looking for Jayden Reed. I'd be just either holding him as my fourth or fifth wide receiver, or I'd be doing this exact move right here.
Yeah, optionality, folks. Um, well, in the book on Jayden Reed, by asking
Uh,
Jeff a
well,
question that he
yeah.
may or may not answer, is what do you think Jayden Reed's real ceiling is like this year? Like realistically, what are the odds that he finishes top 15?
Low. I don't think he's a top 15 type wide receiver. I mean, he could get to like 1,200 yards, but I think that you require some injuries to get there probably, and maybe things to fall apart a little bit in that Packers receiver room to really focus him in that role. I do think he's trending a little bit more towards he was about a 1,000 yard receiver last year. I think that that's probably about where he sits in this offense. But Jack, I gotta say that like the Jayden Reed thing, I'm really enjoying this. To me, this like seeing your development into the Jayden Reed thing is like when Anakin was in the Jedi Temple with the hood drawn, and the younglings are like, oh, and then you turn the lightsaber on, like that. That's where we got Jag right now in Dynasty. So it's just a lot of fun. But it is
Yeah,
one of those things that like everybody's so concerned about Dynasty value, but value is what you can get, and
yeah,
value is so relative to, it's just across the board. It's not a keep trade cut rank. It's so
yeah.
across the board, and every single league gets its own micro economy, and value is relative to every single person.
Like Jeff said it's like I've learned that like I like Jayden Reed, but you know what I like more? The value I can get for Jayden Reed. Cause like, and what it is, guys, here's the logic I have. Best case, like this, I sent this trade out. Best case scenario, I get David Montgomery and Romeo Doubs. Worst case scenario, I have Jayden Reed. That's how you have to think of it. Like send out good trades that help you, and then just if someone wants to talk you down, find out where your stopping point is, and then stop. Just have boundaries, guys. It's just like being flexible. I'm gonna let Alfredo break this trade down because this is his, and we workshopped it this weekend. This is a one QB league, and this is his home league during a rookie draft. So Alfredo, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was all in on my season last year, and injuries and whatnot, and the Stefon Diggs breakdown at the end of the year kind of threw that off. But I was in my rookie draft, and I was looking to make a move. I wanted to get up. I was desperately trying to move up to get Romeo Doubs. I've become the guy in the league that nobody will trade with, so I kind of get embargoed really quickly. But I did find someone at the 105 that was willing to trade with me. And Jagger, you and I talked about this. So I traded Davante Adams, Stefon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, and Zack Moss, and the 208. All right, I know it's a mouthful. Adams, Diggs, Swift, Moss, and the 208 for Deebo Samuel, the 105, the 205, and the 305. Basically, someone's entire draft in Deebo Samuel. At the 105, I ended up taking Brian Thomas to pair him with Trevor Lawrence because I was looking a little thin at receiver after that trade. And you and I sat there and we said, like, man, could Brock Bowers really fall? Especially in this one quarterback league, like, could that actually happen where he falls to me at my next pick at the 108? And that's exactly what happened. I was between saying, okay, well, listen, it's going to be either Brock Bowers or Caleb Williams. I ended up walking out of that draft with Deebo Samuel, Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, and then I'll be on the clock soon at pick 205 where Ricky Pearsall is still on the board. Like, there's still some really good value. So go ahead, guys. Tell me what we think about this deal.
This is how you rebuild, guys. And like, I'd even, if I could, I'd post your roster that you had on here, because like Debo is now like your wide receiver one, but like you got off depreciating assets to get assets that are gonna gain value. So this is an absolute win.
Right now, my wide receivers are going to be Deebo Samuel, Drake London, T. Higgins, and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yep. Yep. So it's just that like you got high variance wide receivers, but like Brian Thomas is going to be high variance this year. Like, and I told you this that like I think Brian Thomas can have like a DK Metcalf type trajectory where he's just like he might have games with 2 catches and then he's going to have a 3 touchdown game. Jeff, where are you at on this trade?
I mean, Alfredo knows he won this trade. I mean, that's why he's sharing it. So why do you know?
It's a screenshot, of course.
It's a good deal. Good job, Alfredo. No, I think that, and you're right on Thomas. I mean, we're already seeing it, the buzz building around Thomas, and he is the type of player that, yeah, all it takes is week 2, he gets loose and goes for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that dynasty value is going to skyrocket. So I think, I'm somebody, I'm a little bit more skeptical on Stefon Diggs returning to elite status. I kind of think Zack Moss was right place, right time, and moving off him, that's fine there. And DeAndre Swift, I think is fine, but no, I think you did a good job. You kind of, I think points wise, unless Davante Adams gets traded, then Deebo Samuel is going to be right there, and he's younger, so you're kind of operating in the same window there. And yeah, to flip Stefon Diggs and these running backs for a player like Brian Thomas is the best you can do right now.
Yep.
Thanks, Dad.
The last player we're going to talk about, this is going to be kind of a roast for me, and that's, again, this is another thing where I liked Ladd McConkey, but it's one of those things where Ladd McConkey's value is better than Ladd McConkey. Like, at this point, like, he has really good film. Alfredo said it, he struggled with injuries in college, and we're already kind of seeing that rearing its ugly head right now, where like he's struggled in camp to, well, let's say struggled in camp, but he's struggled to consistently stay on the field. And you want rookies there every day if you can. So I've made some moves for McConkey. I traded Ladd McConkey and a first for Tank Dell, and that is a Devy first. Like, and that's what kind of made me want to open up the bag on other trades here and see what everyone else is doing. The first one is Ladd McConkey, Bryce Young, and a first for Murray and Schultz. Jeff, where are you at on that trade?
I think that's a good trade because
that's a fair trade.
That's a fair trade. I think in Superflex, and you're looking at Bryce Young as the pivot point there, where if Bryce Young falters, then you drafted Bryce Young because you needed a quarterback. So now you move into a Kyler Murray, which is a little bit more of a safer quarterback. And yeah, I think that if Bryce Young hits, then you're going to lose this trade. I mean, it is what it is, but I don't know. I think we're all kind of really iffy on Bryce Young hitting right now.
Yeah, that's one, like, and I have a roster that I made a trade, I would say similar, but like I paid up for Lamar Jackson, kind of the same thing, where it's just like when you have the roster, you see NFL teams do it. I got to get it done. I'm like, this roster is not going to stay this good right now. I'm going to get Kyler Murray. I love Bryce Young, but I can't wait for ifs, ands, and buts. So, Fredo, do you agree this is pretty even trade for both?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty even trade. I would lean the Kyler Murray side just simply because what does it mean? Like, Jeff, you say if Bryce Young hits, well, what does that mean? Like, if Bryce Young hits, is he a top 5 quarterback year in and out? Kind of like how Kyler
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, like he's Baker, like
He's a
he's
fringe
probably
quarterback 12. Like he's a
Mm.
fringe QB1 in that area.
right. And so then like we start to ask the question, if McConkey hits, like how high does he really go? How valuable is that first? So I'm kind of okay. I know this is playing it a little safe, but I'm kind of okay with just being like, hey, I got one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy football right now, Kyler Murray, and I'll take this tight end that can just get me a couple points, each week, steadily. So yeah, I'll lean the Murray side here.
Yeah, it's like one of our colleagues, Corey Spela. He's like, I just tend to want the best player in the trade,
Mhm.
and like sometimes in Dynasty, that kind of is what it is. It's like who's the guy that you can get the most points in one spot, so you can get other points in other spot. Because that's what we're really bad about, and it's like explaining math to people with like marbles in a cup. It's like it's really cool having 30 points in one area, so you can put other stuff everywhere. Than like saying like, hey, this worked out. It's like cool, you made 4 dimes make a dollar type thing, situation. So I tend to, I get the first one. Like it would depend on the roster. Like if I take an orphan team and it's really rough, and Murray might be my only piece that actually matters, and everyone else is pretty old, I would do this trade. But other than that, you tend to want the best player if you're thinking about winning within the next year or two. The next trade, McConkey and a first for Puka Nakua. Yes, just go get Puka. People think I'm a Puka hater. I'm not, but Puka, people think I'm a Puka hater because he's not top 5. I think Puka is perfectly fine in like the top 10, and this is a trade where you're getting someone who you think is good for someone who is good. Alfredo, you taking the Puka side, or are you still leaning McConkey in the first?
Yeah, what are we doing here? This is the Family Guy. Like you can have the boat or the mystery box, and he's like, "Oh, the boat is a boat, but the mystery box can be anything. It can even be a boat. Like you can have Puka Nakua, or you can have the mystery box. It could even be Puka Nakua. Like what are we doing? That's why you go and you draft a Lad McConkey, or you want a first round pick, is to hit and get a guy like a Puka Nakua. Now what you have is not necessarily. It's not just not two options where you can maybe land a Puka Nakua. It's also two options where you have to just totally whiff on the player and the pick when you've got something right there. Like Jagger, as you have him ranked as a top, as the wide receiver 5 in Dynasty, you've got him. What are you doing? Like why I don't understand that. Keep Puka. McConkey in a first, like that is someone who probably a Georgia alum or something, but I'm oh so far on the Puka side in this trade.
Like you were talking about a Ben Sinnott hive, and like I was one where like I liked Ben Sinnott when he was in the third round. Then people were like, well, like he's Sam Laporte. I want an early second. Then he got out of hand, and then people were relying on him to start, and that's why I think we got with Lad McConkey. I was like, Lad McConkey's good value, but like the Chargers just aren't a very good team, and now we have tangible evidence that they're still. Even with Jim Harbaugh, you got to understand, coaches need to build a team. Like, yes, sometimes, and this is why I worry about the Texans. Like, I just watched Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. These are vets that have worked in the NFL my entire life, quite literally. I've watched them my entire life, and they know and talk to GMs. They have never seen a team turn around like the Texans do. Don't expect Jim Harbaugh to come in there and then like Chargers are a playoff team. That's just not realistic. Like they are a very talent depleted team, and the offensive line struggles. And Lad McConkey, as good as he was on tape, like I said, I'm worried about the injuries and him staying on field. Like that's like when these things start happening, I just worry. And I'm not a doctor, and I don't have time to read a lot of doctor stuff, so I just move off these players because I'm a person. Like I watch a lot of football film for you guys. I'm not looking at X-rays. That's why we hire Adam and pay him the big bucks. So
I want to
um,
ask you guys a question. What happens if Cooper Cup is 2021 Cooper Cup, like top 3 fantasy wide receiver, and Puka Nakua is like wide receiver 20 ish? Do you think that's going to be handled rationally by
no,
the fantasy community?
No, no, but I
the
still think that Puka Nakua at wide receiver 20-ish is more valuable than anything Lad McConkey's probably going to
I
be able to give
agree.
us
yeah.
this
I
year or next year.
just want to
Um,
ask that question.
yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be handled rationally, but I think that that's something people have to remember. It's very much within the realm of reality, and I do think that What's maybe more likely is that if we do get a healthy Cooper Kupp, we get a really good Cooper Kupp season and probably a Robert Woods type of season from Puka Nacua. Which I mean should just be on the table, and we should be really happy with that. Like I don't see how that's a loss. If Puka Nacua gives you a top 15 wide receiver season, we should be very happy with that, even in Dynasty, because you know that he's going to be sticking around in Los Angeles for a long period of time.
And see, and that's why I said that, like, I have Puka Nacua as like top 10. I think he's my wide receiver 10, and people are upset that he's not wide receiver 7 or wide receiver 5. I'm like, guys, that's his ceiling. You realize that, right? Like that's like we're really bad at like, well, he's a rookie, so like obviously he's gonna consistently get over 1,600 yards now. That's just not that's just not how it works, man. Like when you actually rationalize the statistics, it's like I think I'm being reasonable, like enough. It's like putting it in the top 12. The next one was my favorite of this bunch because people are gonna hate this. Like I know that, and it's McConkey for JSN, and I would take JSN like right now. I am way in on Seattle right now. I'm way in. Alfredo, I know you are too. Are you that bullish that you would trade McConkey for JSN straight up?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of fantasy analysts right now that would not, whether it was in redraft or dynasty, where they would take
Yep.
McConkey over JSN. I have JSN ranked ahead of McConkey. I think that JSN is primed to be the number 2 target on the Seattle offense. I'm very much in on the Seattle offense and what Ryan Grubb is able to do with a more vertical attack. I actually talked about this today for an episode that's going to premiere tomorrow, and whenever this comes out, it might be today, so whatever time is relative and it's not real. But JSN is one of those guys that I have him as a breakout. I have him as my wide receiver 36 in fantasy right now. Dave Kluge hates JSN, so when he pops off, I can't wait to rub it in his face. But the last year, the Seahawks usage of JSN it was a gross misusage, where he was, I believe it was ranked 78th out of 81 qualifying receivers in terms of average depth of target, but then he was number 1 in designed play percentage, which means that JSN was only being used on screens. They were giving him the Rashee Rice treatment. Like you normally do that for players that can't run routes. JSN is a phenomenal route runner.
Yep.
Everything he did at Ohio State was catching the ball deep. He's a great deep ball tracker. That's what's going to happen here with the Ryan Grubb offense. A guy who uses the vertical attack, uses 3 receivers. I mean, all of his receivers from Washington were drafted really highly this year. What do you guys think he's going to do with JSN, a player who outproduced Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson when they were all on the field together? Yes, I'm very bullish on JSN, very bullish on the Seattle Seahawks offense, and I would take him over Ladd McConkey every single day in Dynasty.
Yep. I love it, and I can't Jeff. We're gonna bring Dave on and gotcha moment him with like we're actually gonna bring, like we say we don't bust out data on the show, but it's only to make Dave Kluge look bad. I hyped him up today. I need to level it out and roast him again. So
we talked about today, and I have JSN at wide receiver 36. He has JSN at wide receiver 52. He just basically thinks that he's just like not going to exist in fantasy.
Is he bringing up Tyler Lockett? Tell me he's not saying Tyler Lockett.
He is. He's saying, I don't think Tyler Lockett goes away. And I'm like, yeah, he's not going to go away, but JSN's not going to get worse. Last year from week 6 on, even with a bad rookie year, he was the wide receiver 38. We're drafting him at where he was at in a bad rookie year. And I don't know, Dave's expecting him to get worse. I'm here just talking crap about Dave, and he's not around to defend himself.
Well, he just thinks that Tyler Lockett's Paul Rudd. Like, obviously, Jeff, you're going to take that. You're going to take the JSN side at this point, right? Or is it
bad?
Really?
Yeah, I'd rather be connected with Justin Herbert. I think that the Chargers pass offense is going to surprise some people. I've got Ladd McConkey ranked above Jaxon Smith-Njigba in redraft. I mean, if I've got a player similar age ranked above a player in redraft connected to a much, much better quarterback in Dynasty, I'm going to take that player. So I'm on the McConkey side here. So sorry to throw cold water on the party.
How dare you disagree with us in 5-6 trades?
I'm broken. Like I was not expecting that. What happened? What's going on?
We are going to end the show, but it's not because Jeff's a disappointment, but it's like right there.
We're not just disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of you guys spiraling.
I'd pick the JSN side, but like that said, it's a pretty close trade. But as always, guys, like, subscribe. Make sure to go to footballguys.com/plans. We got our new draft tools over there with Draft Sync. You can draft from our site. You don't have to move back and forth. You guys have been asking for it, and we've tested it out, and it works fantastic. And again, a lot of you Dynasty guys are in MFL, so if you're doing some of these drafts, do that Draft Sync and actually use a platform that's built for 2024, and with that being said, guys, my name's Jagger, and that's Jeff, and we'll bring Alfredo back. I think he did a good job, and we'll see you guys on the next one.